Hello. Oh, now they can hear
Hello.
us.
Take two.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday stream. I think we're liking the new time.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty. One gives us time to wake up,
Yeah,
prepare.
yeah. All the engineers here are the type of guys who are not awake before noon,
Yeah,
pretty much.
not properly awake.
Yeah.
We can talk, but we can't think.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so today's a super exciting stream. One of the guys we've been working with for quite a while now, pretty much, I think 6 months.
Yeah.
Um, Steve from RepRap Warehouse. I guess to give some context before Steve goes and we bring him on stream. RepRap Warehouse is a really cool. It's a physical 3D printing store in Edmonton, and um, they've been located there for a while, but they actually just opened a new store, um, which which is more accessible to people, and basically they've got this new space, and one of the really cool projects that we're going to be talking about today is they used 3D printing to create a massive interactive filament display. So before we
Yeah.
get too far into it, let's bring let's bring Steve on. And yeah, why don't you tell us about your store? Welcome, Steve.
Hey, hey guys. I'm just playing around with the background stuff here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Cool. Special effects.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where to start. I actually I'm gonna well all my guys have really contributed a lot to the whole process. So but I think the scales kind of tipped. We really we started out. It's a funny story because I started out selling filament really early on. I bought a printer with my son when he was 15 in 2012. I bought a MakerBot replicator, and you couldn't get filament anywhere.
Yeah.
And my day job is I own a small industrial distribution company. So I thought, well, it's just another product. That's what I do. I bring products in that need people to represent them in the territory, and people want to buy them. So it was also going to be my first adventure into e-commerce, and I this funny nerd story. I didn't actually put my address on the Shopify site that I
Oh
started
no.
up. Before I knew it, I bought these 100 rolls of filament mostly for my personal use. I'm gonna put up a little Shopify store. I'm trying to shorten this because I talk a lot. I'm gonna put up a little Shopify store because initially I was gonna sell them on Kijiji,
Hmm.
but I put up a little Shopify store as an experiment, and I was thinking like it's going to be like Amazon, right? I already had a shipper. I have a warehouse. That's why I call it RepRap Warehouse.
Right.
I have I have all the facilities. I have trucking stuff. I got all that stuff set up. So this is really kind of a no-brainer. Like should be easy. But somehow, even without my address, I thought like you don't go to Amazon, right? So somehow I thought nobody will ever bother me. But all of a sudden in this little industrial spot we are in the west end of Edmonton, all the nerds found me.
Yeah.
And they started breaking through the door and like they traced my IP or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Triangulated
Anyway,
you.
so we've been in a space in the West End that's not really like very retail. It's if you could see it, I probably could have showed the pictures, but
Yeah.
um,
I think we
this
showed it
is
in the past too, actually. It's
yeah.
like a
We have
industrial.
two stores. Like this is
Yeah.
still headquarters, and this is going to be basically like our prosumer, like professionals that want to learn more about how to use expensive printers and stuff like the Quinly,
Hmm.
um, and so on. So yeah, so the guys talked me into finally pulling the trigger on a more retail space, which I kept talking about. And they went out literally. Lucas and Austin went out and looked at some real estate and found our spot. So when we first found it, it used to be a vape store. So it had
Sick.
this green wall. That's
Cool.
the opposite wall from the
See it?
that's the opposite wall from the wall of filament.
Yeah.
And we got a new sign out front. I just changed there. There's the new sign out front, and you saw the awning. And and then there's this is a pre. It's actually got. I just discovered that this has our logo is just mounted there. So
Oh, awesome.
that's behind the sales desk. Yeah, so we moved in and we wanted to make it like a retail space for 3D printing guys. And one of the things we wanted to do was display the filament. We were a little bit inspired. There was there's some video of Gray Prentice from MakerBot, or not video, but pictures of a trade show booth that they set up that had a similar idea.
Hmm.
So we were inspired by that, but we wanted to do it on a budget.
Yeah.
So the fancy wall that Bray Prentice had, which had big holes and big like fancy hangers and stuff, like we just said, well, let's design something ourselves that we can print ourselves and make it. And the wall you see there is actually just slat board from Home Depot that you would put in your shop in your garage.
Hmm.
So we bought some slat board from Home Depot, painted it black, and then we printed all the hangers. So that's I'll let you guys ask
Yeah.
questions
Yeah.
on there.
Well, it looks good. I think it's really cool that you made an actual 3D, like a physical 3D printing store that people can walk into.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely go check that out if I was in Edmonton.
Yeah, I think we've only got one of them in Vancouver right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's similar to it's similar to your first store where it's just kind of out of the way in a bit of an industrial area.
Hmm.
But yeah, just being able to go in and see the filament, and one of the big features of your 3D printing wall is the fact that along with every spool of filament, you actually have sample prints that are there, and customers can remove them and actually get a good look at the filament, because I think a lot of us know that what is on the spool is not necessarily the same like finish and exact like the sheen can sometimes change when you print it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
really-
the other thing is, and not many stores yet, 3D printing stores, if there are any, will like the only other guys in town that have filament right now will barely take back a roll, and so opening all those rolls and having them on display was a big leap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually see the filament not through a plastic bag.
Yeah, that's hugely important. I know I've been surprised, or even just buying filament on Amazon, like
Yeah.
the product listings are sometimes completely different from what you actually get.
Would you let a customer just take a meter of filament home and try it out? Is that something that you do?
Steve?
Well,
I'm just curious.
The answer, we do that all the time. I actually do that so I have in the main store here, because again, it started out as my hobby. We probably have at any given time 70 rolls of filament open, and yeah, I'd say 70. I'm looking at, easily 70. And if somebody wants something that we have open, we happily give them a meter. So that policy continues. We're also going to sell, if you want 10 meters, we'll sell you 10 meters off a roll too.
Oh yeah. That's cool, because I think I would like to try certain filaments sometimes before buying it, especially if it's like a new kind of material that I've never
Yes.
tried before.
Specialty materials.
Yeah.
We were just before the call, we were even talking about that lightweight PLA. But I think actually we can probably get into that later. We should talk about the display itself.
Yeah, let's get into
Just
it.
dive into it, because it's super cool. So actually, before we do, other than the filament, what else do you guys sell at RepRap Warehouse?
Well, okay, so thanks for asking. I got myself off track there. So we like I said, we started out with filament. I have a long time partner in China that has been my main supplier since 2012. And we probably have 3,000 rolls of his filament in stock right now. We have, so we expanded to, I was fortunate enough to become one of the very first value-added resellers for MakerBot in Canada, maybe the first. And so we have MakerBot, and for a long time I was very hesitant to bring in hobby printers, DIY stuff. But 2 years ago, Prusa, one of the younger guys convinced me to try Prusa, and we'll we won't talk too much about like the pros and cons like we would a sales call, but we got Prusa in, and that went okay. And then we dabbled with some of the other Chinese printers.
Mm-hmm.
I sold printer bots in 2014. It was a disaster.
Oh
So I
yeah.
was like, that's why I was hesitant.
Right.
They have to be reasonably reliable,
Yeah.
or else you're never going to make any money on them. And customers are just going to be pissed off, right?
Yeah.
They're just not going to like them. So we tried Anycubic. That was not successful. And then we landed on Creality, which has been an enormous success for us. We also like Canadian products. So we had the palette from Mosaic, which has been really fun. Obviously, Quinly
Yeah.
is one of those Canadian. It's Canadian. B, it's really cool. We have what else do we have that's important? We have a matter informed scanner. So we've also
cool.
experimented with all kinds of scanners. So we have matter informed, and we have the peel scanner, which is also a professional scanner
Mm-hmm.
that that's not inexpensive, but it's for car restoration and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we have everything from $300 up to $10,000 in terms of the 3D world, and we're expanding all the time. Have I missed anything that's important? We sell resin as well now, so resin's coming out as a big thing, and we, like I said, we've got 3,000 rolls in stock and another 3,000 on a boat. So.
Oh yeah.
Cool. You're well supplied.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
sorry. In terms of filament, we've already set up a deal with Polymaker, so we're gonna have Polymaker right away.
Oh, sick.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to stick to like our house brand with my old partner.
Mm-hmm.
Is our house brand.
Yeah.
So we're trying to not have duplicates, like two black PLA
Right.
sort of low end, right?
Oh yeah.
A really exciting one for you guys, and I know you've spoken to them, is Matter 3D. So for anybody on the stream that doesn't know it, most of the guys that are claiming made in Canada or made in America are not making it in Canada or making it in America. Filament, that is. But Matter 3D is actually located in Victoria. It's a couple, married couple, both PhDs in materials, and the gentleman, his name's Aman. His excuse me, his thesis advisor is also on the team.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's sweet.
Yeah, very very smart people to say the least.
Yeah.
And they're making filament in Victoria, and we're becoming tighter and tighter partnership. I'm hoping that one day it might be completely integrated in terms of distribution.
That's awesome.
But right now we basically are his first distributor, and he makes super high end PLA
Mm-hmm.
that prints at 235 to 240, and it'll go to 80 degrees C, no problem.
That's
Yeah, that's like ABS, right? The
It's like
printability of PLA with the
beyond
properties of
tough
ABS.
PLAs or
that's
beyond
awesome.
the tough PLAs or the PLA plus from China, right? So,
Yeah.
so that stuff is awesome, and people are loving it. And he's making PTG, and he's making the infused stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
we're going to market. We're taking our time. We're testing the market, and but the other part of that equation is we're taking back, and we just sent off. So we have a giant printer in the shop,
Mm-hmm.
600 by 600 by 800.
Cool.
And I printed like a full-sized 60-gallon garbage can, and we're getting it painted up for. I was going to say we recycle PLA, and we're collecting scraps now, and Batter 3D is going to make filament from these scraps for us.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how that goes. Let me know.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, I'm very confident. He just relocated. He got a dual screw extruder in addition to the other two extruders he has, and we're super excited.
Yeah. If he can
Sorry, I
recycle.
took all the time.
No,
It was
it's all right.
a moment.
If he can recycle PLA, like we have so much PLA to recycle, and we've sent batches out to different people, but yeah, we're looking for a very reliable place to send PLA to, because you can't really.
Yeah.
Well, you basically just have to throw it out. So we end up either doing that or just collecting kilos and kilos of PLA over time.
Yeah, wouldn't make much sense for you to send it to Edmonton and send it back to Victoria, but I can arrange to get it to Victoria.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
would make more
a little
sense.
closer.
A tiny bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Matter 3D also has some connections in the trucking industry.
okay, nice.
That helps.
Um,
So why don't we get into it? Well, let's
Yeah.
check out how the spools kind of evolved, and see how, I guess maybe a little bit first, the kind of idea behind the filament spools. Um, like you got, what is it, 50 rolls that you wanted to display at least, right? And you
I
had
think we're aiming for the final product should be 90.
90, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had to come up with a design that would hold all the different spools. Some of them are different shapes, some of them are different heights, thicknesses, diameters. So we've got a few screenshots from a call I had with Lucas, just showing off how the design progressed. So
Oh, I
starting,
want to see this. I can't even see this.
yeah, we'll show it off. Well, as soon as
Stephen could
Okay.
probably talk it through.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think while we're going through this, if I'd like to invite anyone in the audience, if you guys have questions about 3D printing, retail or distribution or how any of that side of things work, it's a pretty perfect opportunity to ask them, and we'll pass them on to Steve as well. But yeah, let's get into the actual design. Like this design is very cool. Is this the first image, Steven?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. I'll switch over.
Yeah, so they have these slat shelves that all their filament is mounted to. So you can see that their design here is got this little L-shaped hook that just slots into
On the left side there.
on the left side, yeah. And so they've gone through a few different iterations of this spool model, the spool holder, because actually it might be good if you could pause the slideshow on like the first one and then just go through them manually.
Sure, how's this?
Yeah, just go back a couple.
I thought this was the first one. Oh, this one.
That guy's the first one. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so you can see right at the front there's this large sort of platform that was supposed to like support the spool, and there's also a cap. And the point is that there's a PVC pipe right in the middle of the spool, and they actually cut a bunch of PVC tubes to length to go right through the spool, and then they have that cap that press fits right onto the PVC. And so they'd have, yeah, 3 different components inside the assembly. But yeah, this one, the first iteration didn't work out too well. So first of all, the print orientation was kind of weak. And also there was a lot of material wasted on the front. So if you just move to the next one.
Sure.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, the slideshow.
Our slideshow is bored. One thing that I found really interesting is that the actual the use of PVC pipe to save on print time, because it's a ready-made shape, it actually makes no sense to print it. Even and we'll go into the automation and how that helped scale the project, but even still, like sometimes if you have ready-made forms, it makes sense to integrate them into your 3D prints and not waste that extra print time. So I thought that was an interesting aspect of the design that you guys decided on. Okay, sorry, our slideshow is being all funky. Okay, here we go. Here's the second one.
Cool. So yeah, you can see in this iteration, it kind of fixed a lot of the problems. So one of the issues that they were having was that they were drooping a little bit. So the spools are fairly heavy; they're like a kilogram. And so this is printed out of PETG, by the way. So the PETG kind of like, it was drooping a little bit, had a little bit of angle to it. And you know, when you're trying to display filament, you don't want it to be looking all janky and falling apart.
Yeah, and the problem is that the angle would vary based on the weight of the spool, so it wouldn't even be a nice even angle.
Yeah, they'd all be a little different. So you can see they bulked up a little bit on the left side of the hinge, and the really cool one is, I think, the cone-shaped cap is pretty cool. So that's to accommodate any different filament spool internal diameter. So it just plugs right down, and
then it centers the spool.
it centers the spool, and it also just makes sure that there's no wobbling of the filament. So I thought that was pretty cool. And here's another view of it.
Well, this is the next iteration. This one's got the dovetail.
Yeah, true. So the dovetail is a pretty cool design. So this is, Steve, this was your idea, hey?
I wanted the R's, and I think Lucas mostly came up with the dovetail.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a cool cool way to sort of integrate the two parts.
Well, because then you can print the interesting part was we didn't initially, I thought we'd just print a separate top, the whole cone, for every single color. But as you can imagine, that became a big job.
Yeah.
So by just printing the R's, we could pound those off, and the design of the R in itself was designed to be a simple, quick print. And so that's where that came from. Plus, people can get their hands on it; they can take it and play with it, and without breaking
the rest
our
of the
actual
display.
holders,
Right.
Yeah, because as soon as you take the spool cap off, then the spool is all loose.
Yeah,
So that makes sense.
everything's gonna get moved, like wobbly and moving, and
So yeah, this is the picture of the R, and I think this is a really cool part. Specifically for 3D printing, like this is like a pretty complicated shape that would be hard to do in any other way. So, you know, with 3D printing, it's completely, it's completely fine to print stuff like this.
It's a pretty good showcase part too, since the whole point is for the customers to be able to see and feel how the filament sample will come out once printed.
Yeah.
Because you don't get a good sense of that from, 2 millimeter diameter filament. You have no sense of the properties, but when you've got an actual part, not only you see how it comes out when it prints visually, I'm sure many of your customers are like taking the R's and flexing them and messing around with them to see the actual material properties.
yeah, 100%. And obviously, we're inspired by this is our new branding too. So the R is our new logo, in case we hadn't mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks awesome. It's a great sample part too, the way you've set it up with the step, and then it's got all these sharp corners too, so you can see. It's got sharp corners. It's got the step in. It's got an overhang with the dovetail, and it also has like a curved edge as well. So it's a pretty good, even though it's just a logo, it's a pretty good sample part to give you a sense of most of the different like part features that you would encounter with most prints.
Yeah, it's even got a nice overhang there with the dovetail.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, it actually makes it like a representative part, which is cool.
Yeah, we just have a quick picture of how it looks in the slicer. So they used a Prusa Mark III, and sliced it with Prusa slicer. You can see there's a little bit of support material there, nothing too crazy though. And so it turns out that these in total took about 6 hours to print. And this was on a pretty fine resolution as well, because they wanted them to look good. And so the point is they printed these with Quinly, and the whole wall was done using the Quinly printer. Was it one Quinly on or two?
That's what I was gonna say. We actually had the Ender and the Prusa going full time.
Oh yeah, okay.
Several days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they estimated, 2 weeks, you said?
I think it was 2 weeks altogether. I mean, there were some failures, obviously, plus some iteration. Like we printed a whole bunch of them in the first 2 revs of the actual the actual holder before we decided we had to change it because they were drooping too much.
Right.
And I mentioned to Steph, and she liked this, so I'm going to throw it in there.
Yeah.
That the redoing of them, we would never have even contemplated that. We would have never got the wall done in time without Quinly. That's what made it possible.
Yeah, we love to hear stuff like that, because
yeah,
it really helps like us know that our product's actually pretty good at doing the thing it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's definitely, we've done very similar things where we'll print off a ton of one iteration and then realize we have to make a change. And with manual printers, there's much more of this like sunk cost when it comes to having to completely reprint a whole bunch of things because you've spent so much time dealing with the printer, and it can take days sometimes to do a couple dozen parts. But yeah,
Not,
with
not to mention the lost time if it, you know, it's like overnight and then something's failed and
oh yeah,
overnight, like, you know, like, or you're iterating and you come in the morning and you go, I don't like this anymore, so you've lost like a whole evening's worth of prints, right?
yeah, yeah, and even with that, like because tra traditionally without automation, people will do batches, so now you have so many parts that you've printed overnight that you can't use anymore. And yeah, that's actually really interesting to hear that um, you wouldn't have considered actually reprinting those initial ones if it wasn't so easy to make many new replacements. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's
Probably that's the best way to say it too. Like, uh, it really, like, we had it working so well that I was confident by with the design change, like we just keep going, right? Like we
hmm
were, our failure rate was very low once we sort of got it going, and that's the only reason. Like otherwise, because we signed a lease in early June and we opened on July 1st,
right.
and we basically did the entire reno uh, kind of during business hours. So like we were
Okay.
running back and forth, and we are keeping both stores. I mean, our other store was busy. It
hmm
was ridiculously busy, and we still managed to pull this off. So between, you know, a couple of hours during the day here and there, and evenings, that's when we get everything done.
Right.
Uh, we didn't really increase staff very much, so there was a lot of hours put in, and Lucas was putting a lot of time in, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's really kind of stressful printing on a deadline, having to trust that your 3D printer is just going to do it. And if it fails, then it really kind of messes with
Yeah.
your timeline.
Said anyone that's ever tried to do a 3D print on a deadline, you are so right.
Yeah. Well, I know I used to do this before I joined 3DQ. I used to just do freelance 3D printing in my community, and like if someone was picking up a print the next day and it failed on me, I had to wake up at 3 a.m. and
Yeah.
start another print just to get it through the
I,
door.
if you guys knew me any better, like in the store here, the guys like to do prints for money, and I hate them. I've just been doing it long enough that you can never win. Some of them, like if you price it where it should be priced, versus the guy that's, you know, got no overhead and doesn't care. Uh, if you price it where you need to price it, people will just laugh at you. But if you price it where those guys are pricing it, you're going to lose money every time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's changing. Like we've done a couple of jobs with the Quinly that were like 60 pieces
hmm
that were amazingly simple because of it. Right, they're identical parts, simple parts, but he needed 60 of them. I've done jobs in the past where I needed 100 very, very small items, and you know, I put 20 on the plate because that's what you do, and 20 of them failed.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, and you know, so now I got to do that whole print again, and yeah, this has changed everything. In fact, if I may, I had to remind Lucas not to keep putting multiples on the plate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember that.
don't do that. Like,
It's a habit, right?
when you put multiples, you're more likely to have a failure, and you lose three,
Yeah.
and you lose all that print time. So with the Quinly, like you don't. I mean, all the people on the people that are 3D printer nerds are going to argue with me, but the, you lose a little bit of time cooling down, yes, but other than that, you're losing almost no time.
Yeah.
And frankly, because you don't have to go and manually do anything to the printer, like reload it or whatever, and between prints, it saves a ton of time.
Yeah, and your risk of when it fails is very low. You're not losing,
Yeah.
like you say, you're not losing 20 parts at a time, and you're not losing
Yeah.
all of that filament and all of that time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and with like I've said this 100 times is with a single head extruder, 2 parts on one bed and 2 parts in 2 different prints is very, very close to the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Very, very close because the tool path is the same length.
yeah.
So, you know, doing 2 at a time doesn't really save you anything except that nighttime when you don't have to change it. You don't have to go down and start to print again.
Yeah, that's absolutely like that's one of the big things. There's even cases where if you batch, it will take longer than if you print singles. And so one of the hacks that we came up with for really small parts where the cool down time does have an effect, we use Cura's feature, the print one at a time feature. So the bed will stay hot and it will print. We were doing this for these tiny, like 1-inch rods for some pinions, and we'd print 9 to a bed. And what it would do is it would print one completely, the bed would stay hot, and then it would move on to the next one, print that, and then once it finishes all 9, then it would do the release. And so you kind of get the best of both worlds in that you're not doing 9 cycles for these really small and quick parts, but at the same time, because you're printing one at a time, you don't have that risk of batch failure happening. And we found that to be like incredibly optimal, but it only really works for tiny parts or when there's enough clearance. But it is another way to optimize, and yeah, I think it's a great solution as well.
Yeah, like Quinly kind of really changes the way you need to think about slicing.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Lucas putting multiple parts on the plate. I don't blame him. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Until you get a Quinly, and then it changes everything.
Until you get a Quinly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so every other printer ever does it except for
Yeah,
Quinly.
well, and that was kind of my point, right? Like, Lucas, you're missing the point.
Yeah. You don't have to do it anymore. You don't have to do part layouts and like figure out how long the whole thing will take. I think I think it's more of that you're now looking at it from a production mindset rather than like, what do I need to do to get this one print to finish? You're thinking ahead in terms of like even for your wall, for example, those are 2-part, the hangers are 2-part prints, and you have to make 90 sets of those. So that's about 180 prints, give or take. When you're slicing, and I think you were talking to him about slicing optimization, but
yeah,
when you're slicing for something like that, for a big project, you have to think with Quinly, you have to think about the entire project as a whole. So it's not anymore just what settings do I need to make this work, but how do I save time? Because every single minute you save in the case of this project is 180 minutes saved across the entire project, which is 3 hours. And when you think about how easy it is to save a single minute on a part, for every minute you get 3 hours back over the course of the whole project.
Yeah, well, if you just like double your nozzle size, you can do your project in 1 week instead of 2. That's like a huge deal for a lot of people doing a lot of parts.
Yeah, and it's a completely way of thinking that is a completely different way of thinking that is pretty much disallowed when you have to go to the printer and intervene after each print, because it's not possible to like you can't reap any of the benefits of having back-to-back 24/7 sequential printing, because you're, as an operator, saving 1 minute on a part doesn't really make a difference for you because it might not actually line up with your schedule or anything.
Yeah, like we're the bottleneck until Quinly comes into play.
Yeah.
Then the printer itself is actually the bottleneck.
Yeah, and then you can actually, like all these amazing settings that slicers have to offer, you can actually make full use of those.
Yeah, we love going into the experimental settings, because now every tiny little improvement makes a huge difference.
Multiplies across your entire production run. It's definitely not the traditional way of thinking about 3D printing. but yeah, it's it's pretty interesting. It also takes a lot of getting used to. I think even with some of our customers that we've spoken to and done business cases with, uh, we've noticed how in the first week or so, their efficiency is improved a lot because they're running on an automated system now. But then what you'll notice is the second or third week compared to the first, even though they're still on the automated system, they start picking up this new way of thinking and actually further optimize their prints for production. Like I think in the case of Jeremy from Matco Tools, in his first week compared to his first month, the production rate essentially, I think it was after the first week, his production rate went up by 150% because he realized he shouldn't be batching, and he started optimizing his slicing more and more, and was able to, because he had all the free time not having to manage a printer, he was able to dedicate that time to actually improving his parts and his slicing.
Yeah, we've actually got a picture of his stuff on
Oh yeah, let me pull
on the
that
bottom
up.
there.
Which one is it? This one, right?
Yeah, organization.
Oh yeah, here it is.
So these are the parts that Jeremy printed.
Yeah, they're Steve, for you, they're basically tool holders that he would install in his truck because he sells tools, and it was basically a tool display. And so he needs like hundreds of these tiny parts, and he started outfitting other trucks in that sales fleet in that region he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like hundreds and hundreds of parts he's been printing now.
So this is the second case on the stream of someone using 3D printing to make custom displays.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a really good use case for this kind of thing.
yeah. It seems to be like for sales.
Yeah. Helps present your product in a cool way. Easy to do because you got Quinly.
Yeah, and you can do so many of them. So I think what with your project, you're saying it took you guys about 2 weeks to finish it. Am I right in assuming it's about 180 parts for the 90 spools?
Well, plus the R's, so another
Right.
90 for the R's. We're still printing the R's. That's kind of an ongoing project.
Yeah, because you have to switch filament each
but-
time, right?
Yeah, it seems to me just off the top of my head that the printers were running because I sit right across from where they are,
Hmm.
and they were running pretty solid for 2 weeks, and that probably includes some of the iterating time. Might have been 3 weeks, but like we started early in June, and Lucas's first design, yeah. So Lucas's first design was probably the second week of June, and I bet you those printers ran all the way to July 1st.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and even though you have to redo it, it's still pretty cool that you all got it to work out.
Yeah, our first job actually, just by comparison, when we had the Ender beta, that 60 part job that we did, 17 days.
Hmm.
It ran 17 days, pretty much nonstop.
Yeah,
I think Lucas actually mentioned it would have taken, so if it took 2 weeks to do all the parts, it would have taken 5 weeks to do it manually. Simply because there's no time to do it at night, and over the weekend couldn't do it either.
Yeah. So you lose a lot of time there.
Yeah. And then you'd also have to just manually go every single time without idle. And cooldown takes 12 minutes or so. But you'll find that people have an idle time of a lot more than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People have to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that you got to notice that the printer's not printing. Like,
Yeah.
So if you're doing anything else, which you probably should be, than watching the printer, you're bound to lose some time just till you figure out that it's done.
Yeah.
Short of having a stopwatch, which being a slave to a stopwatch would not be a lot of fun. And I'm sure you guys have done print jobs without the Quinly. Would attest to, as you said, getting up at 3 in the morning. Oh, it should be done around now, and you get up at 3 and it's 3:30 by the time it actually finishes.
I
Then
hate
you got to
that.
change it.
Yeah, don't remind me.
I was I was actually talking to someone in our Discord about that too. They were saying how they'd set an alarm, same thing, like at 2 or 3 a.m. based on the Cura estimate, and then
Mm.
it turns out they had to wait 45 minutes
Oh no,
to
there goes
for
your
the
night sleep.
to print, yeah, for it to finish.
Oh,
Yeah, I've had to do that one time, and
Uh, I trust me, I've done.
I and then I started 3DQ just because of that. Like,
Or you have in my case, you got to go to the office,
oh
right?
yeah,
yeah.
So
drive
you gotta
over.
you gotta get in your car, go 10 minutes to the office. Oh, I'm off by an hour, so you just don't.
Basically.
You go Sunday morning instead of Saturday night. Right?
Mateo, I like that. It's like, oh, I didn't want to babysit my printer, so it was just easier to start a company.
Yeah, it was just easier to invent new technologies. Yeah, it's born of laziness, I think.
Yeah, we've also actually got another case here of someone like today posted on our Discord channel.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
3D by JB. Yeah, he posted so a really cool way that he used Quinly. So he got this order for, I don't know exactly how many are in there, but all the parts you see in the picture there. He got the order on Monday this week, and
Really?
on a single Quinly printed
Oh my God.
everything by Friday morning today. So I was super impressed by it. And these parts take it was an hour and a half per part. And from what I can tell, the Quinly was just pumping out parts for the whole week.
That's I didn't know. I saw the picture this morning in our Discord, but I did not know he had started on Monday. That is pretty incredible.
Yeah,
That's a lot of parts.
it's just really cool to see Quinly being pushed to the limits.
Yeah. So he says the red parts in the tall mounts in this photo we're showing, Steve, the red parts in the tall mounts took about 85 minutes to print with a 12-minute cool down cycle. Yeah, so about an hour and a half, just over.
Yeah. And these were one at a time, no batching.
No batching. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, the way to go.
Yeah. I mean I'd encourage everyone watching join our Discord. It's in our channel description, and yeah, see what people are doing with Quinly, and if you have one and you're not already in the Discord, definitely join up, because yeah, everyone's exchanging all sorts of tips, and it is a very, very new way of printing, and so a lot of ideas are being exchanged right now.
Yeah, we're constantly trying to improve our product too, and you guys are full of great suggestions. So
Yeah,
it's always nice to hear like expert opinions from people with different use cases for Quinly that we just don't know about.
yeah, and we talk to you guys all the time, and so we gain a lot of knowledge that way, and we also run our own in-house to produce the actual kits themselves. So there's a lot of knowledge that we have that will hopefully get you guys set up faster and be able to produce more parts faster. We didn't actually say what the parts were.
Oh yeah.
They're battery holders and charging mounts for, I guess, for large batteries.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee
Oh, got it.
batteries.
Okay. Oh, so
DeWalt batteries
I
too.
like that he's fitting the theme, the Milwaukee theme.
Oh yeah, the red plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the DeWalt ones are yellow and black on the
Oh, that is pretty cool.
that makes sense.
Steve, I'll have to send you a photo of this later. It's a really cool project.
Oh, he's in the chat. Look at that.
Oh, there he is.
John Beatty.
38 total mounts. And I think he was mentioning he plans to sell these. Well, he's getting 3 more Quinlys,
Yeah.
and he plans to start selling them through Amazon, I think,
Yeah.
which is super cool. Like,
Imagine that. That's
one of
holy grail of passive income there.
yeah, and
3D
being able
printers.
to see 3D printed products like coming to market as the final product. Everyone in the industry, I'm sure you know this, Steve, right? Everyone in the industry is talking about it, but it's very hard to find 3D printed final products when you go to a store or when you go on Amazon. So actually seeing it firsthand and having a part and being able to do that to help people make those is super exciting.
Yeah, I'm actually, it always fills my heart with joy every time I see a final product that's FDM 3D printed. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually good stuff.
when Austin first started here a couple of years now, you know, it's an ongoing joke in the office. It's like, I need a whatever, right? It's like, well, if only there was a machine where you could put a design into it and make the part.
Huh.
Like he's a goalie, and he broke all the clasps on his goalie helmet, or they break all the time.
Right.
And he's like, holy crap. So yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Steph's asking if you know any other retailers who have used 3D printing for their displays, their point of sale displays.
I'd say no.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You're a trailblazer. They didn't have Quinly.
But like business card holders, like every business card, all our pen holders, all our business card holders, they're all printed. And I'm not even the one usually thinking of it now. Like it's Lucas is like print everything.
Yeah.
He wants to print stuff for the like shelves for the walls. And there's points where Walmart's just a better answer.
Oh, we've had to contend with that too.
Yeah, to break even. Oh, can you buy bulk, or is
Yeah.
it better to print?
Yeah, and so Lucas he's the first guy. The first thing out of his mouth every time is, well, we can print it. Although I got to tell you, I wish I had a picture of the garbage can that I printed, because it's ginormous, right? It's
Yeah, I want to see
literally-
that.
It's the full size of the Giant, which is, so the top of it is 600 in diameter, and it's 780 millimeters tall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty impressive. And you know what? Could I buy a Rubbermaid at Home Depot? Probably about the same
Yeah.
price.
Yeah. Yeah.
But pretty cool to have a full size 3D printed garbage can.
Yes. Send me a picture after this, and I'll put it in our Discord so everyone can see. I remember actually we went to Formnext 2 years ago, and Mitsubishi Chemical had in their booth had giant 3D printed furniture, and it was all printed in vase mode. And there were these giant seats, and it was also completely made out of recycled PETG, so it had this cool effect of the colors would transition over the course of the print. Yeah, I love seeing like the giant applications of 3D printing too.
Yeah. We need to Quinlify a massive printer.
Massive printer. It shows how versatile the tech is. Because even with normal manufacturing, you do have to, like, even there are giant injection molding machines. That's how the rubber bands are actually made. But there are different technologies you have to use when injection molding something tiny versus injection molding something massive. And the fact that the extruder on some kind of motion system is able to cover that basic idea, is able to cover microscopic parts all the way to like full size, in this case, trash bins, but also furniture, is pretty amazing. It's like the same concept carries through, and you can print anything on it.
Yeah, you're not limited to the injection molding design limitations too. Like,
no,
if you want to print your own lawn furniture, you can print it in any shape. It doesn't need to have a consistent wall thickness, or, you know, you can have overhangs and weird stuff like that without, you know, the injection mold can't release anything. You can even have internal cavities.
Yeah.
For if you have like clear filament or something, I don't know, but anything.
So I think that about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about. Steve, is there anything else you wanted to mention about the wall display?
No, I just wonder what everybody thinks of it. Does it look good?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it, and I think the people watching like it too, and I think your customers will love it. How's the response been so far?
You know, you'd have to ask Matthew, because I'm not there enough.
You're driving back and forth?
Well, I don't have, somebody's got to man this store.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't get over as much as I'd like. I've done a couple of shifts over there, but yeah, I think most people come in and they go, whoa.
Yeah.
So everybody, like even friends and family that we showed it to are like, that's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be impressed. If I didn't know about it before walking into your store, I'd be like, okay, these guys actually know what they're doing.
Yeah,
huh?
they know what they're doing. Yeah.
Let's buy some filament.
It's awesome. Well, Steve, thanks so much for coming on and yeah, talking with us about this project. As you know, we're excited to have you guys to be working so closely with you guys, and it's awesome to see you actually using the technology and proving it out as well as selling it to your customers. So that's incredible. And yeah, I just have to thank you so much for coming on and talking about everything with us.
You just realized I was sending a text message, so you went to full screen on me, and I'm not.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, I know you're busy with like 2 stores, one just opened. It's
Yeah. I'm actually trying to send you the garbage can pictures. I just got back on the Discord.
oh sweet. Okay, I'll take a look.
I will. Once I'm off here, I'll do it.
Cool. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
throw it in the Discord.
Also, Kevin,
Right
let's
on.
see how the spool holders go together.
Oh yeah. Do we have more pictures?
There should be some images of that in downloads folder on the computer.
Oh yeah, we've got more pictures of the
So,
Quinly printing.
yeah, here's it actually printing on the Prusa beta. So we got you guys. We sent over a Prusa kit very early on. In the downloads folder. Oh, RepRap store. Nope. Oh. Oh my gosh, there are so many photos. I don't think there is a photo of one being put together. Is there?
Oh yeah, you guys. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 weeks, 2 Quinlys, right? Let's not forget that.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah, like they're both going.
Yeah. So our original idea before Quinly was even a thing was QPod, and that was 9 printers. So imagine how much you could get done with 9 printers in a whole like farm array. Like that's actually what we have in the room next door actually. So if you've ever seen on our Discord, sometimes we'll post pictures of just, oh yeah, more parts coming off the printers today, and it's just like a pile of parts on the floor. That's what you can do with yeah, 9 printers. So super easy to scale up. Just add another Quinly. You know, you don't need to add an extra whole lot of work for yourself. You know, you just have to put a few more parts in the queue, but that takes just a couple minutes.
Here we go. I found a photo for you, Kevin. So
Oh, there you go.
here are the actual parts. It's just a piece of PVC chopped up. The printed parts in PET over here on the left. And then you just slide the logo into the cap, put the PVC in this part that hooks into the shelf. This actually reminds me of those planter hangers that I made for my mom.
Oh yeah.
They have to mount in a very similar way.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get too hot in the store.
I had to print mine out of ASA
Yeah.
because the first iterations melted. But here you go. So you can see it just plops on like that, and then the cap keeps the spool centered on the mount.
Oh my God, there's Baby Yoda.
There's Baby Yoda.
Shout out to Tabby.
Yeah, Tabby probably loves this. If she's watching. She's not too busy doing software testing. And then here's the PET being printed on the Prusa. Cool. Well, yeah, I got to thank you again, Steve.
Okay.
And yeah, it was always a pleasure talking to you and interviewing you and having you talk about your experience. And best of luck with the new store. I mean, it sounds like it's already been going really well. So hopefully that keeps up. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what you guys do with the rest of the stores. The photos I've seen look awesome so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also done a significant rebranding, including a whole bunch of social media, like omni-channel stuff, and hopefully we're going to do more video as well. But we have loyalty points now. We've done a whole lot of stuff in a very short period of time.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like it's been going.
You buy your filament, you you get points, right? So you can come back and use them again. That's actually, oh, the other thing that's been really successful for everybody that's listening is we have both PayBright and Sezzle. So anything you're purchasing, you can break it up into 4 even payments. It's really simple. And that seems to have been very popular already, like in a very short period of time.
For those of you saying it's a long drive, they do have an online store. So
Yeah, 100%.
don't forget about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was pushing.
Yeah. That's where you'll get the points.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks again. It was a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, I guess everyone watching will have another stream next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so catch us then. Thanks everyone for watching.
Nice talking to you, Steve.
Take
See
care,
ya.
guys.
Bye.